Hey everybody, what's happening? Welcome to Let's Play Majerus G3, Episode 3, Space Invader. I encourage you to take a look at Episode 1 on my YouTube timeline. That'll get you up to date with what this project is all about. It is, of course, about the recent restoration of the laptop and virtual studio of late contemporary artist Michel Majerus. So don't hesitate to go back. While you're at it, why not stop by Episode 2? I'm particularly proud of it. And while you're at that, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, and ring that bell. So let's jump into it. There is a ton to cover today. And let's do it. Okay, here we go. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take a look at the exhibition that Majerus did in 2002 at the Friedrich Petschel Gallery called Leuchtland. Now, again, I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right. A kind of loose English translation would be Shining Country. This exhibition took place between September 5th and October 19th, again, 2002, at the Friedrich Petschel Gallery. And before we jump in, let's do housekeeping as always. We had a YouTube user whose name just looks like a 20 character long string of random letters, so I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it. But they asked, in the previous episode, was Majerus painting along to in the pressure group series, was he painting along to a pencil line? And we took a really close look at the painting, or one of the pressure group's paintings, which is, by the way, up at the Majerus Estate in the two-person show with me and him, which is up until March 2025. So check it out if you're going to be near Berlin, and we saw a pencil line in between the stripes. So if you remember, there's a stripe and then a blank space of canvas and then a stripe. This is construction based, kind of off of how the Frank Stella paintings were done in the 1960s. And so there is a pencil line in between the stripes, which was done by hand and kind of measured and not done with a kind of string line apparatus. And so we think he probably eyeballed it against that pencil line, but he wasn't painting on up to a pencil line. And the last bit of housekeeping, if you remember in the last episode there, we were taking a look at some Frank Stella paintings that Majerus photographed in September of 2002 in a skyscraper in Manhattan. I was in Manhattan a couple of weeks ago and I just couldn't control myself, so I tried to find the skyscraper and the painting. I found the skyscraper. Turns out it was 375 Hudson Street, but I did not find the Frank Stella painting. Apparently the skyscraper was sold like 7 or 8 years ago by a company named Tishman Speyer, and the Stellas most likely went with the sale. Although there are many Tishman Speyer buildings in the globe, and so perhaps they have popped up in another one. All right, so that's it for housekeeping. So let's get going with the show. What I want to do today is I want to kind of take us through this show as if we were seeing it. I'm not going to talk about all the works because I want to keep these episodes like kind of down to a half hour, but I'll talk about a bunch. And I have a kind of big reveal, or I don't know if it's a reveal because I haven't talked about it, or a spoiler or something. I don't know. I have a big whatever. And it is, I actually saw this show in 2002. And you might be saying, but Corey, in episode number 1, you said you weren't aware of his work until 2014 when you saw a painting of his on Instagram. Yeah. Yes and no. So let me tell you the story, and then I could explain myself. So here's what I remember of seeing this show, and what we are looking at right now is Majerus's mock-up of the show. And so what we're seeing right now is basically what you would see right when you walked into the gallery. This is the front, this is the hallway, to the left is the front desk. And what I remember of this show, and actually before I get too deep into it, why don't we open up the actual picture of the show, which we could see here in this folder, and then in this show Petzl folder. So I'm gonna have to remember to always shut windows after I use them, because I'm just gonna get totally lost. So we're looking for image 2538. So I have notes on all these images because there's so many of them. Okay, in fact, I also know that 2537 is a great image to look at. Okay, so here's an actual image that Majerus took of this show. So you walk in, and this is the front house. So this is what I remember. I remember walking in, seeing that Space Invader painting to the right, which is called Space Invaders 2, and getting so annoyed and kind of angry that I just like turned right around and walked right out of the gallery. And I didn't even have the patience to read the press release or even find out who the artist's name was. And so I need to do some explaining. So at the time, I mean, I was 24, and I had a good education in kind of avant-garde composition and a pretty good education. And at that point, a lot of real life experience with kind of experimental media or video art, and then internet art at that point. But I didn't know anything about trad art, painting, sculpture, galleries. Even what a gallery was totally new to me. And I can give you my pitch of what a gallery is. A gallery is kind of interesting thing. It's a store which is given over to an artist for 4 weeks, and the artist could do whatever they want. And not only that, you could enter the store for free, and you could actually experience the artwork. So it's a bit like if cinemas were free. So that was my first impression of galleries when I was in my early 20s, and I know it's a generous impression, but I think fundamentally it is. I still think it's true. So I was going to these galleries, but at the same time, like I said, I was quite deep in the media art scene at that point in New York, and I had seen some kind of amazing pieces already. And so I want to just give you an idea of some of the things I was seeing, so you could understand my reaction to the Majerus Space Invader painting. So let me. I'm going to really quickly talk about two. One is a piece by Kevin and Jennifer McCoy called Every Shot, Every Episode. And so what I would have seen in this piece is a kind of briefcase that's open. And on the bottom were all these kind of video discs, and each one had a label, maybe every shot or every gunshot, every kiss, every car crash. And then on the top would have been a kind of LED, a little TV monitor, LED screen, and a video disc player. And you could take a disc from the bottom and put it in the top, and you could see, if I would have taken every gunshot or every shot, I would have seen from a whole episode of Starsky and Hutch, I would have seen not a whole season of Starsky and Hutch, I would have seen every gunshot, or I could have taken the car crash disc and seen every car crash. So it was this amazing kind of archival librarian, supercut, portable media library, just a total masterpiece. Another piece I remember seeing that made a big impression on me was by Wolfgang Stahle. This I saw in 2001. Similar to the Kevin and Jennifer McCoy piece, was also 2001. It was called Kronberg, and it was, again, I go into this gallery. The gallery was called Postmasters, and in the back room was a projection of this cathedral in Kronberg, Germany. and it was live. So it was a webcam, and the webcam was like updating images every 3 seconds. So I remember standing in the gallery in New York and seeing the sunset next to this cathedral in Germany. Totally amazing. So I'm saying all this. So when I come to this show, coupled with the fact that I don't understand painting and sculpture at all, and I walk in and I see a Space Invader painting, I just think, first of all, who's painting in 2002? It's like seems to me like something from the 1800s. Not only that, Majerus was painting, video game iconography. I felt like he was like somehow in my territory or something, and also like I was probably just 100% jealous. I wanted to have a show like this. I felt like the painters got these great, amazing shows, and the media artists were kind of always kicked to the curb. So all this stuff is floating around in my head, and I just like turn around and leave. So what I want to do now is I want to go through this show, and let's talk about the things that I see now. And before we go to a different photograph, I could see a couple of things that jump out at me now that I wouldn't even have noticed then. First of all, we have 3 works here: Space Invaders, Splash Bomb. Let me see if I'm getting that right. Splash Bombs 2 and Your Bad Taste, all 2002. First of all, they're not all painting. It's silkscreen on canvas. This is a painting, and this is kind of digital print on self-adhesive foil on lacquer paint on aluminum. So it's a kind of sign. Second of all, this isn't even like a real place in the gallery. This is the front hallway. This isn't a place to hang work. There's not enough room to see the work because it's just a hallway. And not only that, he has basically filled up the entire hallway from floor to ceiling with these enormous works. And it's as if he's using kind of like computer space, like he's just stretching the paintings to their maximum width and height. So to give you an example, this Space Invader painting here, Space Invaders 2, is 4 meters high. It's enormous. And I remember standing in front of this Space Invaders painting, but it wouldn't have been possible because there's not enough room to see this. So I'm seeing things already that I kind of just like totally flew over my head. Then we go around the corner. We take a look at this piece here called Pathfinder, and I'm going to go to his file A3 where we see the sketch of this. And let's see, Pathfinder. Okay, so here's Your Bad Taste. We come around the corner here, and this is a piece called Pathfinder. And what this is this is a scan of a magazine cover of, incredibly, a King Kong attacking the World Trade Center with these 2 kind of glitch marks on them. And so I definitely didn't notice this when I saw the show, but this is only a year after 9/11. And so it's very aggressive to have the first work that people are confronted with head on in an exhibition as a European artist in New York, as some kind of monster figure attacking the World Trade Center. So very, very, in Norway we'd say sterk, which means like I hope oh my God, if Norwegians are watching this, they're like, no, Corey, that's not the right word, but strong or hard. So it's almost borderline edgelordy, if that word didn't exist then. So it's pretty wild with this kind of cool glitch. And the other thing that I didn't notice, which Friedrich Petzel, who runs the gallery, brought to my attention when I interviewed him a few months back, is this wasn't a wall. Normally you were supposed to walk in the gallery and be presented with this beautiful giant room, but Majerus basically blocked that and put this very awkward wall here, and it made the gallery this weird kind of catacomby kind of experience, and that probably might be why the piece is called Pathfinder. Let's see. Yeah, we could, yeah, well, as long as we're here, let's look at really what it looked like. So I have a note that it's 2519, and we could actually see the real Pathfinder. Let's see if we can get there quickly. Yeah, here is the real Pathfinder. So keep this in your mind, which you probably already noticed is you're probably thinking, actually, this show looks exactly like his sketches. So yeah, yes, the sketches in the show are like have 100% parody, which is kind of amazing. Real quick, there's another signage work, which is right here, which is around the corner, like directly in front, or not directly in front, but kind of kitty corner to Pathfinder. It's called Bravo. This is a work where it's a kind of like sculptural work where there's a kind of print on top of this honeycomb cardboard, and it is this teen magazine where he's just lopped off this huge section. And I happen to know from the computer that the section that he lopped off was this kind of female model. And it has this kind of amazing unknowingness. Of course I know that because I have the notes, but if you were to see it, otherwise you would think, well, why is he cropped out this bizarre shape here? So that's a Bravo, and I want to show you it real. So 2575 to give you an interesting glimpse at how giant all these works are. So if I could just come down here. Oh, actually, real funny. I happen to know that this is like some just kind of a street photograph that he took. I'm getting a little bit sidetracked. Your mouse does not count as wildlife. Timberland, 2002. I agree, Timberland. I agree. Okay, so we are actually looking for 2575. Yeah, we're looking for actually this image. This is where you could see really the scale of these works. I mean, they're just monumental. There's also these architectural elements in the show called boxes and bars. This is a mirror, and this is this kind of bar. Next are these three works called pressure groups. I'll just quickly show you them. And again, I encourage you to go to episode 2. It's a huge deep dive into these works. These are these kind of Frank Stella-ish works done in kind of candy. Here's the work we just saw, this mirror and these incredible Frank Stella pieces. You could see already how all these things are talking to each other. Then we're going to go around the corner. There's a work called Tex-Mex, and I want to take a look at two works which are a kind of catty corner to each other. They are called one is called No Style, No Points, and the other one is another one of our Space Invader friends. And so I'm going to look at AA1 here, file AA1. Yeah, here it is. Okay. So on the back of that false, strange wall that Friedrich Petzel was talking about is this Space Invader painting. So the Space Invader in the front of the show is called Space Invaders 2. And the Space Invaders in the back of the show is called Space Invaders. So there's already a kind of funny joke there. And you can see this one is even more enormous. This is 5 meters, almost by 4 meters. So it's huge. And real quick, how did he make this painting? Well, if we look into, okay, now I told you, I said I always gotta close these windows or else I'm gonna get lost, and now I'm a little lost. But here, this is, yeah. So here we have invaders.ping. So here is his, I don't know that. Here is a screenshot from the Space Invader game. And if you're thinking, well, Corey, how did he get a screenshot? Well, I know. He had MAME. And MAME is a arcade emulation machine. So let's boot up MAME and let's take a look at Space Invader. And you can see he has like a total full MAME stack. So he has Space Attack, Space Chaser, Space Duel, Space Dungeon, Space Encounters, Space Fever, Space Firebird, Nintendo, Space Fury, Revision, and Space Invaders. So here is the arcade version of Space Invaders in MAME, which is an emulator, which is funnily enough being emulated itself in emulation as a service, which has been provided to us by Rhizome. And fun fact, in 2014, Kevin McCoy at a Rhizome event proposed attaching an image asset to the blockchain. So all these things are weirdly related. And actually, I just saw Kevin in New York, and he was like, you know that the day before your first class with Pauline Oliveros, which I talked about in the first episode, he was like, I met you the day before because I traveled to Oberlin with her to do a performance that night before that first day of class. So I don't know. The world is a small place. So this is cool. Okay, so there's Majerus' MAME. And now that we know the world is a very small place, I want to take a look at, this Space Invader painting, which if you could compare to the Space Invader itself, he's actually manipulated. Here it is. It's here. The invaders on his canvas are much bigger than the invaders are in the game. So he's scaled it to make it look better. And also something I definitely wouldn't have noticed then is it's not painted, it's silk screened. And not only is it's even one level deep, it's silk screened in the style of Warhol. So this is not really like what I thought was a German painter trying to be cool painting video games. Well, it's a Luxembourgian painter who happened to live in Germany, who spent a lot of time in the United States, who was silk screening in the style of Warhol, using the iconography of Space Invader games to then become an artwork of his own. So it's a really complicated painting. And then if you would go up one level more, it's using that weird, it's a painting that's meant to function as a painting in a gallery, in the kind of art market, and it's meant to function. It's meant to function in the structure of the art market of the time. So it's a kind of meta object. I mean, all this stuff definitely would have went over my head. This other piece here, though, no style, no points. I feel like I could have probably figured this one out. This font is so cool. This no style, no point font, and it's over this kind of cool AbX background. And I mean, I was like really into techno at the time, and I would have seen this font on techno record covers. The font is, if you're wondering, it's based off of a font called Localizer by Thomas Bierschenk, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And there was a publication called Localizer 1.0, the Techno House book, and Majerus had its font was like kind of loosely based off of that. And real quick, and I know I need to hurry because I don't want these episodes to last too long, is if we look at this file, if we look at this all force, here's his font file here. So he has this kind of master font. You can see here, it's not a font like you download a font file. It's actually just vector letters that he would arrange by hand. Very cool. This now, I mean, these paintings from this time with this font are my, we took a look in episode 1 of one that had the word Slayer in this font. I think they're so amazing. Okay. So, and then the last part of the show is, these 60 by 60 paintings. I just want to show you his mock-up here. And, then I want to take a look at his photograph of the show, and it's very striking. and it says it's 500 is his photograph of the back room of the show with these paintings. Yeah. So, yeah, there's a 1-to-1 parity between the two, which is really, really kind of amazing. So this is a series he did most of his career where he had this kind of set format, 60 by 60, and he would do all different paintings in this kind of size. So, yeah, so I was talking, Friedrich Petzel said something really interesting about Majerus. He said that he thought that Majerus was always in the present. Like the work had this flow because he was like an improviser, meaning he was always present. He was, kind of flowing with the present moment. But he also said that he was very rigid in how his shows were looked. And of course, we could see that here with his sketches. His sketches are literally the show. The show was entirely made before architecturally in the computer and then just kind of like rendered. It's a little bit like an extension of what we saw in episode 2 where he renders his paintings. Well, he also renders his shows. And so let's recap. What can I see? What am I seeing? Well, there's this aggressive use of space, and especially with like computer space, where he's rendering these shows. The works are like kind of pulled out to all the corners, so it's kind of like this uncanny, non-Museum of Modern Art style use of space. The MoMA style is like painting, horizontal eye level. He's doing more like kind of Photoshop style. I think this idea of him being in the present, you could see in a work like the Bravo teen cover, where he's able to make these like really quick decisions, just like crop this or just take that, which are really uncanny. And I mean, I do this stuff and I can't make heads or tails how he knows how to do some of these things. It's amazing. He's using different artist styles. We see Warhol, we see Stella, we see in some of this architectural stuff, like it's not even an artist style, but it's somehow kind of in between. We see like meta painting, like a painting in the style of as a Majerus using this technique. We see meta styles. We see like AbX as a kind of style marker. And we see this kind of like rigidity, this kind of interplay between this rigidity and this freeformness, which is, he's like both at the same time, which is cool. And then I just real quick want to leave you with, he has on his desktop a review of the show from Artforum. And I mean, Artforum in 99 would be like Pitchfork in 2009. I mean, it was like the thing. So the writer Megan Daly writes, working like an engineer, he first establishes a kind of master plan on the computer screen, positioning each element in relation to others and to the overall space. While every painted or screened image is meant to stand on its own, they are framed and connected by brightly painted aluminum vertical and horizontal beams. He doesn't just paint, he builds. I love it. I couldn't have said it better myself. All right, cool. I pulled down the thing. Okay, thank you, everybody. That's all I got for you today. Incredible show. And we got 2 episodes left. I'm looking forward. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, and peace.